second. Let me pull it up. Okay. I would normally wait for more people to show up. However, I'm going to make this public. That way, you guys can just pull this up whenever you want. All right. The Valley, a macabre springtime anthology by yours truly. Part 1, Hunters. Rob has always been such a good friend to me. We met in school way back in the day, almost 20 years ago. I've seen him grow up with me, seen him at his lowest, and been with him for his high points too. We know everything about each other. I'd even say he's like a brother to me. I called him up yesterday and invited him to go hunting with me. Hey, bud, you doing anything this weekend? Nah, man. You got any plans? I've got a great idea, man. I want to try and go hunting in the valley, but this time I don't want no deers or no elk. I want to kill a bear this time. A bear? Ain't it kind of early for that? It ain't even season for 'em. I know. Them grizzlies come out early all the time, and I know they're out in that valley. You want to come with me? Sure, man. I'll come along, so long as you bring me some beers. You know it, bud. I've always got your back. All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, bright and early. See you, bud. I hung up and sighed. My wife came and gave me a hug. You all right, hon? Yeah, me and Rob are gonna go hunting tomorrow and kill us a grizzly. Ain't that illegal? Season ain't till summer. Baby, I know the game warden. I went to school with his ass, and he don't give a fuck if I break the law. What's up, Whisker Guardian? Alright, hun. You want to come out to walk with me? Sure. I followed her outside into the crisp morning. A fog hung around the trees, and frost covered the grass that crunched under my boots as I stepped on it. I held her hand in mine, and we went toward a path in the tree line. It wound around big rocks and tall pines. You know, I love you with all my heart, she told me. I know it. I love you too, I said half-heartedly. What's wrong, baby? She asked. Nothing. I'm just tired. I'll be all right. You can tell me what's wrong. You know that, right? I know. We kept walking by the trees and through the mist. The mountains surrounded us as we walked. We came up to the creek on our property, which bubbled and trickled over rocks, running off from the mountains up yonder. Is it something to do with me? No, I said. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Is it something to do with work? Linda, leave it be. I don't want to talk about what's bothering me. She was quiet then. And I looked at the thawing ice behind that creek, melting slowly, uncovering the rough surfaces beneath its smooth coating. I sighed. I knew that this hunting trip was going to be a nice break from all these damn questions. Maybe I'd feel better when it was over. I hoped it would get better after some time alone. You know, I can't stand to see you this way, all bent out of shape but not willing to tell me what's wrong. We can't work on us if we can't communicate. I knew she was right, but what good would it do? I pulled my truck up to Rob's house. It was a humble place, like mine. He was sitting on his porch swing, carrying a bag of snacks and a gun in his case. The sun hadn't quite risen yet, but the sky was waking up, with a pale blue-gray light making the black, foreboding mountains contrast with the clouds and sky above. I looked back at the case of Bud Light in the back seat, right next to my rifle and hunting knife. I sighed, knowing it was time to pretend to be happy again for him. I put on a happy face and stepped out of the truck into the frigid morning air. Hey, bud, you ready for some fun? I called out to Rob. Hell yeah, man, let's go kill us a grizzly. He walked up to the truck and stepped in. It's colder than a witch's tit out here, he said. Yeah, good thing we brought jackets. Might be pretty late trying to catch one of these damn things. Turned on the radio, and the nostalgic sounds of old country songs accompanied us driving through winding mountain roads. Rob was lulled to sleep as I drove with the sun beginning to rise, stretching its blood-red beams through the mountain haze as the valleys remained cloaked in shadow. After a while of driving, we arrived to the park entrance, where a brown wooden sign with faded tan lettering said, Starlight Valley State Park. I parked the car and we entered the office to get our hunting pass for the day. The office was nice, with taxidermy animals on display and a sign that stated the rules of the park next to the desk where the familiar park ranger was sitting with a crossword puzzle and a mug of coffee. Hey, bud, we'd like to get a day pass for some hunting. What kind of game you hunting? Elk. Alrighty, they're in season right now, so that's a good answer. Y'all remember the rules now, don't you? Of course. We ain't staying overnight, and if we do, we won't go nowhere near the old house. I know y'all won't cause no trouble. Never have. It's these damn spring breakers that give me the most grief out of them all. Coming in here, making a damn mess, harassing the wildlife, getting hurt, being a bunch of degenerate city folk. This weekend's supposed to be a busy one, what with the college having spring break this week. Yeah, well, I hope you have an easy time with him. See you soon, bud. Tell the wife we said hi. Will do, the ranger said as we left the office. We waited in the deer stand for hours, watching for bears to come lumbering through the dense underbrush. Rob was drinking beers, with the pile of empty cans behind him growing steadily as the day went on. As we looked out for bears, we saw many elk. We saw boars rooting around. We saw a lot of fowl. We never saw the sun. We even saw the sun travel across the valley and settle behind the mountains as the shadows grew darker. But not one bear came out across our line of sight. Man, I tell you what, them dadgum grizzlies must not be up yet, Rob slurred. Well, maybe they're just waiting for nightfall to go hunting. I don't know, man. I don't think they're coming. Might as well pack it up and go on home. Rob, I want to let you know something. Yeah? What? You know, I really care about you, right, man? I love you like my brother. Been through so much with you. We've seen each other get married, been out hunting and fishing together more times than either of us can count. Known each other since middle school. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. You are family to me, and I trust you. Man, I love you too, man. I tell you what, you're like a daggum brother to me too, man. Why are you being all sentimental and shit? I just want you to know that I know deep down you would never betray me, right? Rob's eyes were tearing up. No, man. Hell no, man. I can't do that. I never would, man. You've been too kind to me. If you did do anything behind my back, you'd tell me, right? You'd tell me before I found out and had to tell you about what you did, wouldn't you? Of course, man. You never did me wrong. I'd be a terrible friend if I did. I sighed, putting a hand on Rob's shoulder. There were never going to be bears out here. Rob's eyes widened and a look of sheer terror filled his face when he noticed that I had a big hunting knife in my other hand. I'm sorry, man. Please don't. Ah! He screamed as he fell out of the stand and landed on the forest floor, 20 feet below. He let out a moan of agony as his leg had broken with the femur protruding from his thigh. I climbed down and stood over him, letting the rage that had simmered in me boil to the surface. Rob was trying to crawl away, screaming for help. When I was done unleashing my vengeance upon him, he was almost unrecognizable. I made it look as though he was clawed to shreds, mauled by a freshly awakened grizzly. All I had to do was make it to the truck and drive to a place with cell service so I could report a bear attack, just like I had planned for months. I was victorious, finally getting my way after years of being lied to and wronged. I sat down next to Rob's carcass, exhausted. I would have let you live, but you had to lie to me again, just like you have every fucking day for years, I said, mostly to myself. I know what you did with Linda. Did you think I wouldn't notice the way you look at each other? I saw the positive pregnancy test in the bathroom trash last week. She hasn't even touched me, not once in months. I got up, heading back to the truck parked half a mile away. When I saw the truck in the near distance, my heart skipped a beat because I saw in between the truck and I a hulking shape, a dark mass of fur with yellow eyes that reflected the light of my flashlight. It stood up on its hind legs, 10 feet tall, and I knew my time had come. I never did make it home. Part 2, Nature Documentary. The town of Aurora crept by as we rode through in our van. Old brick buildings with mid-century neon signage and vintage junk in the windows passed by. Despite being morning, the roads were fairly empty, making our travel easy as we made our way to the first interview of the day. The first place we stopped was the police department. It was a quaint little complex with old-school concrete buildings that seemed to double as a Cold War fallout shelter. At the desk, there was an overweight, middle-aged policewoman. "Can I help y'all?" she asked. "Yes, we're from Rocky Mountain Community College, making a documentary on local legends. Is Officer Black here?" I asked. "He's in his office. Let me page him and he'll see y'all." She called to him to let him know we were there. Soon afterwards, he came out into the reception area. "So, you must be Daniel," he said, greeting me. "Yes." "Well, come on back and we can get this interview done. I got some paperwork to do, so we can't take too terribly long." "No worries," I said. The four of us followed him back into his office and sat in chairs. Charlie set up the camera and the interview began. "Officer Black, would you say that this town is particularly high in crime?" I began. "No, it's a sleepy town. Most calls we get are small ones. Usual sort of thing like shoplifting, vagrancy, vandalism, that sort of thing." "What about the seemingly high number of disappearances?" "Well, to tell you the truth, I think they're sensationalized by the media. Over the last decade or so, only about 20 people have gone missing." That works about to be about 2 every year or so. But what interests us is that they seem to be all in the same place, Starlight Valley. From our understanding, there's a local legend about a spirit in the forest causing people to go missing. Do you believe in this supposed spirit? "Consider this. We have a wilderness with a lot of hazardous wildlife, like mountain lions, grizzlies, venomous snakes. People go out there often alone, not telling nobody about where they are before they go missing, in an area with no cell service, full of dangerous terrain where all manner of things like rock slides, avalanches, falling off of cliffs, drownings, and getting lost can occur. Some people need to believe that there is a cause greater than this to explain the unfortunate reality that interacting with nature can be dangerous. Now, I've heard tell of this spirit myself. I've heard people say the woods are haunted. I've heard tell there's even a witch. Ooh. Now, if you ask me, I think people just go places they shouldn't be and get in over their head, wandering around out there, maybe exploring the caves, and then they can't find their way home. People die every day. Every 6 seconds, someone somewhere in the world dies. That is a statistical fact. Personally, I think y'all shouldn't go looking for it, since I don't take y'all for very outdoorsy types. Now, but of course, I can't stop y'all from trying to get this here spirit on film. Any other questions? No, I think that'll do. Thank you, officer, I said. We left the police department and headed for the next stop to get the interview from our locals. Later in the day, we found ourselves at a local dive bar. It's populated mainly by local drunkards, and I knew we might get a more fantastical answer from these more unique sorts. We met with the bartender, a young woman in her 20s. Hello, we are. Oh, fuck, I messed that up. My bad. Hello, we're making a documentary about the local legend of Starlight Valley. Do you believe in the existence of the spirit of the woods? I don't just believe it, I know it's real. I got a girl I know from high school who's seen it with her own two eyes. She was out there one night with her boo thing years ago. She was in the back seat of his car, fogging up the windows when they heard it. She told me it was 10 feet tall, like a bear. It roared and scratched the car up while they were in there, unable to escape. She thought it was a grizzly, but this was in the dead of winter and they're all hibernating. She told me there wasn't no bear because when it disappeared, there were no paw prints in the snow. Interesting. Do you think it's responsible for the 20 or so disappearances over the last decade? I know it is. Staying in the valley after sundown is just asking for it to come. I don't like people who stay around later than they should. The next morning, we found ourselves at the entrance of Starlight Valley State Park. We chose to interview the park ranger, someone we assumed was probably the most reliable source of information on the goings-on of the valley. We entered his office, a cozy place with the trophies of animals, most notably a bust of a grizzly bear on the wall behind him. Good morning, Ranger Smith. We are from RMCC, making a documentary on local legends. The park you oversee is the center of some rather interesting theories, including spirits, witches, and various other strange claims. Do you have any insights on this? Well, I've lived here my whole life. The whole time I lived here, I heard country folks say outlandish things about this here valley. I've heard tell of this mysterious grizzly bear ghost, and I tell you, I think it's about as true as any fisherman's story. What do you think is the cause of the disappearances over the last decade, if not a spirit? Well, as you can see behind me, there is a presence of grizzlies here. You wouldn't believe it, but them things can sneak up on people before they even know there's a bear nearby. They already been ripped in half. Nature is a scary place, full of creatures that don't care what you plan to do tomorrow, so long as they get a snack. Sometimes the snack is a hiker who wandered off without any means of protection. Is there any historical reason for this ghost bear to have been fabricated? Well, there was one long time ago when our town had a series of maulings that led to the death of about 7 children. The town proceeded to try and hunt the bears into extinction. A huge hunt took place. Scores of bears were shot and killed until one fateful day when only one remained. It was a hulking beast, scarred with one blind eye, almost 15 feet tall on its hind legs. It was found in a cave behind a waterfall when the party discovered it. The cave had human bones strewn about like trash in a hoarder house, flies and maggots crawling on the decaying corpses. It took 7 men to kill this thing, but finally the terror of the valley was vanquished. And when did this happen? I remember it was when I was just a little kid. I lost one of my best friends to it. We intend to find evidence of this bear spirit. Do you have any advice on where to look? Maybe where a large number of disappearances have taken place? Look as hard as you want, but I need to warn y'all that the northern side of the valley is especially dangerous, and I strongly advise against going there. If you see an old house, turn around and get the fuck out of there. You never know what you'll encounter over there, but I can promise it'll be nothing good. All right, thank you, Ranger Smith, I concluded. And remember, don't stay after dark. I don't want to find that 4 college kids went missing when I come back to work tomorrow morning. Understood. We left the office and followed the winding road toward the trailhead on the north side of the valley. Next to the parking lot was a placid lake lined with coniferous trees. The mountains stood as enormous, watchful giants, stretching on as far as the eye could see. Our journey was to find the cave mentioned by Ranger Smith, began with the camera rolling. I knew it wouldn't be easy to find, but we just followed the river. We knew it would only be a matter of time before we discovered it. We traversed boulders and trees while the river snaked upwards, passing over rapids. Luke had enough food in the backpack to last us the day and the night should we get lost. I checked my phone to see if there was any service, but none existed. You really think we'll find anything? Charlie asked me. Oh, without a doubt. If we don't find this spirit bear, we'll at least find some sort of explanation. Why do you care? You aren't even from here, he continued. I want to prove that I have what it takes to be an investigative journalist. I want to follow in the footsteps of the greats and have my name on a project that people like me will study. Charlie rolled his eyes. We continued further, midday now upon us, as we had climbed and walked nearly 4 miles over rough terrain. I thought maybe our journey would be in vain, as we found nothing yet, but I smelled the chilly mist of a waterfall roaring in the distance. Guys, do you smell that? Can you hear it? Yeah, I think the waterfall's up ahead. We pushed on, and there it was, a massive 250-foot tall waterfall that descended down the face of a cliff ahead. It was majestic, as the yellowing light of afternoon sun glistened off the falling water, and it crashed down upon boulders, generating mist. Now the hard part was to climb up to the base of it. We waded over the rocks in the ice-cold water, slippery as they were covered in algae. The camera was rolling as we reached the veil of water pouring down forcefully. When we stepped into it, we were drenched in frigid water, shivering but amazed, as the mouth of a cave stood before us. We were hit with the rancid aroma of decay. I gagged, covering my mouth and nose as we shined a light on the wet floor. Bodies laid there, over a dozen of them in various stages of decomposition. Some were fresher than others, even wearing their hiking clothes. Holy shit. I approached one with bloated, festering skin. It was a woman with a high-end jacket, slashed across her throat, face unrecognizable. Are you guys getting this? I called out. Yeah, what the fuck, man? Charlie replied. I noticed the woman's left hand was missing its ring finger. Let's get the fuck out of here. Luke had vomited on the floor as we turned tail, leaving as fast as we could. When we were back outside the cave, away from the waterfall, I stopped everyone. That wasn't a fucking bear, man. Bears don't cut people's fingers off. Fuck. What do we do now? We need to find that house. Are you retarded? We need to alert the authorities. But think of the fame. Imagine how much recognition we could get if we cracked the case and found out who did this. You can do that on your own. I'm not risking my life for your vanity project. Charlie handed me the camera, and the others followed him. And Now it was my turn to choose safety or glory. The sun was lowering. Yellow had turned to darkening orange as the sun disappeared behind the mountains. The shadows under the trees were thick and growing ever darker. I felt a terrifying sensation that I was being watched, as though at any moment some lunatic wielding a machete would come out and hack me to pieces. I could turn back, but I needed to see this through. I had to see the bottom of this rabbit hole. I had found a path not on the map, which spurred off the river from the base of the waterfall, which winding between imposing mountains and lined with boulders and brush. The more I followed it, the stronger the sense of danger in my chest became. I knew that this had to be the path that led to the forbidden house. Every step forward I took, it felt as though I further cemented my certain demise. I stumbled, tripping over a rock, only to see that it was the head of a baby doll left behind from some lost child. A shiver went down my spine. Then I saw the entrance of a crevice through which the path continued. At the entrance was a fence post, and a dozen or so baby dolls nailed to it, and a mannequin head on top which had rotten, fallen apart from years of neglect. I desperately wanted to turn around, but at this point I had to see the end. The path went through a claustrophobic crevice. Scratch marks and blood stains were on the walls that I sandwiched myself between. I felt my heart racing in my chest as I made my way through the squeeze. I knew I might very well die out here, alone in the dark, miles away from help. At the other end of the crevice, I saw a clearing. There stood the dilapidated house, overgrown with vines. The windows were broken, and behind them a profound darkness lay. I captured a shot of the house. There it is, within these walls. I suspect the culprit of these gruesome murders is either hiding or keeping evidence as to who he is. I need to see it. I need to get inside, I narrated. I approached the porch, the stairs falling apart from years of neglect. I saw that the front door was slightly ajar, inviting me into the blackness that held untold terrors. As I approached the door, I felt the pounding of my own heart in my chest as fear and anticipation grew within me. In the house, the walls were littered with holes, and mold had grown into the peeling wallpaper. Bloodstains and handprints riddled the walls, and the floor had garbage and leaves strewn about on the decrepit floorboards. The air was stagnant and rancid. At the bottom of the staircase was a door left slightly ajar that led to an even more consuming darkness. The only source of light I had was the light on my camera as I pushed it open and it squeaked on rusty hinges. I looked down at the bottom of the stairs to see a wall full of animal carcasses and skulls. The floor at the bottom was flooded with putrid black water. I stepped down the stairs one by one until I was about 3 from the bottom. That was where the water began. I took a deep breath. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot up my leg as something slashed at my ankle, severing my Achilles tendon. I let out a yelp and fell forwards, face down into the filth. I struggled, fighting the pain and trying to get up, but a boot stepped down onto the back of my head, holding me under the water. My lungs were on fire as I clawed desperately at the leg I could not even see. The vile water filled my lungs, and I struggled for a while, and I felt my life fade as I drowned. Part 3, Spring Breakers. I was so totally ready for spring break to come. The semester had been kicking my ass, with the psych paper due as a final around the corner. I just needed time to relax and let loose. Tanner had a trip planned for the group of us to go camping in the valley. We were going to go skiing, but that fell through. Honestly, I was so excited for Tanner to finally take me out to the valley, since he'd been with me for almost a year and still hadn't proposed. Hopefully, he would pop the question, especially since there are so many gorgeous spots out there. We were in his Jeep headed out to the valley. We had lots of drinks ready in tents. It was going to be a real adventure. Alright, so the park doesn't allow for overnight camping, but I heard from a buddy of mine that there's a spot where you can go camp and not get caught. All we have to do is like be cool and not make a big scene, and this whole trip should be off the chain. Hell yeah, dude. We drove up to the entrance gate, and a park ranger was at the window. You kids make sure you're safe out there today, he said. A lot of dangerous wildlife's out there, like bears and mountain lions. Will do, bud, Tanner said confidently. Now, one thing I want to say is that I see you have camping equipment. This park doesn't allow overnight camping, so I don't want to see your car out here after closing time. I make a trip every night to make sure there aren't no campers. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry, man. We won't be here after dark. Alright, Ranger said. We made our way to the lake and where a boat ramp was at, with some picnic tables and a floating platform laid still in the water. Alright, who's ready to fucking party? Tanner said. My friends in the back hooted and hollered as they cracked open some Four Locos. We drank on the beach, tossing stones, playing music on a speaker. I took my clothes off and stepped into the water. It was so cold I immediately recoiled. Look at you, Tanner said. Scared of a little cold water? No, don't you dare! I cried out as he picked me up and started carrying me to the water. Put me down, I said. Yeah, you're so cute when you're mad, he said, tossing me into the water. The icy cold water made my body freak out, and I surfaced, splashing in. You fucker, I playfully shouted as he laughed at me. He got in and swam with me. This was so much better than school. We swam over to the platform and laid in the sunlight. His chain hung down as he was over me, leaning in for a kiss. I love you, he said, melting my heart. He looked up at me with a twinkle in his eye, as though he had something he wanted to say, or even to ask. But he just gave me another kiss. Oh, I love you too. I laid there for a while, sunbathing to the relaxing music on the shore, drifting